and welcome to A Penny for Your Thoughts. I'm your host, Penny Rose, and I'm joined here by my husband, Kenny, and my two daughters, Elizabeth and Courtney. And today we are going to be discussing our own experiences growing up in our generation.
I'm Kenny. I was born in Gen X.
I'm Courtney. I was born in Gen Z.
Elizabeth, and I am a millennial.
Okay, so talk about the first stuff that you remember, like as a kid, like the first things that you remember doing compared to like what kids don't do now.
I drink from a water hose. Nobody does it now.
You were from the generation that basically stayed out all day long. Like if you weren't at school, you were staying out all day long.
Yes, we was. We never went inside. We always said we had to come in when it was dark to eat dinner.
Yeah, but you had no communication. So how did your parents get a hold of you?
When it got dark, you come inside.
The street lights.
Right, the street lights.
If we had street lights.
Have you ever heard of the "It's 10 a.m. Do you know where your children are"?
What was the purpose of that? Do you remember like the background of that situation?
No, I do.
I think the actual real commercial was 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are? Do you remember where it came from? Okay, so right around the time that Amber Alerts got started, they realized that kids were being unsupervised all the way into night. And they realized that they had to figure out a way to let notification or a public service announcement say, hey, your kids are outside. Have you made them come in yet? Why do you think your parents were less inclined to like check on you guys?
Because they felt safer than they do now. Everybody was always seemed like safer. Everybody knew everybody.
Did you guys, either one of you guys, experience something similar to that? Did you feel like your parents didn't have to hover over you?
Not for the same reasons, because for me, it's more like sometimes I don't have a lot of awareness of my social situation.
Well, and you're coming from a different situation too, because not only are you Gen Z, but you
autistic. They're just trying to make sure that I don't talk to the wrong person or just say the wrong thing to someone.
Right.
Like the biggest concern was me coming off as rude, when I think back then I just was very deadpan and very blunt about everything.
Well, I mean, and I think coming from his generation and then being a Xennial, like that redheaded stepchild of the Gen X's, we experienced a lot of the same thing that Gen X did, but we also were able to incorporate some of the newer things. So like, whereas you didn't have any social media growing up, you didn't have it until you were an adult, correct?
Correct. We didn't have anything. We had TV commercials. That's about it.
So then I was the first one that was introduced, I think, to the home computer. You might have had computers at school, but they were somebody you could afford a computer at home.
I didn't get my first computer school until 1986. I was a junior in high school.
So like when you introduced the internet, that changed a lot of things. Like, cause I can bridge back and forth between Elizabeth's millennial and Kenny's Gen X. But like when your generation came in, like what are the differences between other ones and yours?
I had a very hovering mother. My mom didn't think anything was safe. And I don't know what happened between his generation to my generation, but I was not considered a safe environment.
Do you agree with the topic that it wasn't probably as safe as their parents thought it was, as much as it was just the fact that now it was becoming aware because of social media?
Absolutely. It's just more published now.
Right. You know, besides using it for chat rooms or using it to research projects, emailing, and that's about it. See, and the thing about it is like our MySpace feed was so much safer, believe it or not, than even Facebook feed.
Oh, yeah.
Because you couldn't see somebody's MySpace unless you physically went to theirs. Yeah. Friended them and they accepted you. Yeah. It wasn't like friends of friends could see you. Yeah. Or it wasn't like you could get tagged. Yeah. Exactly. So people were literally like, only if they were coming to your page, then they knew you. And they had that new thing you could put on it at the end where you could see who saw my page. Who's visiting your page, and you could click it, it would give you the list of everybody who's visited, how many times they visited it.
I think MySpace was way above its time.
It
was. It was not appreciated at all.
No, we took advantage of Tom. Everybody had Tom as their first friend.
Yeah, MySpace was awesome.
Yeah.
And I did not get to experience it enough.
Who specifically was Tom?
Tom was the creator.
Of MySpace.
But he immediately was your first friend when you created your page. His picture, it was like him in front of like a whiteboard or something, like with his thumb up, smiling big. And he was the first. You couldn't get rid of him either. He had to be a friend on your Facebook. I think it was their way to monitor, like their moderator. Probably. Yeah. Facebook was the first one you used.
Yeah, that's the first one I remember the most.
So do you remember how long you've been on Facebook?
I think 15 years. Yeah, it's like 15 years, I think. Something like that.
Yeah, 2009 was the first year I got mine. I got it right before my mom passed away.
I don't know. I was definitely in high school. I think it was probably my freshman year of high school.
And then I knew that Instagram introduced the threads. And when I started seeing threads, I was like, you know, this is when Twitter was Twitter, when Twitter was good.
Well, isn't there a new, like, Pinterest, too?
I went on it once, and the only good thing about it is it's because it's still new. It doesn't have a lot of ads on it. Okay. So, but other than that, it is a lot like, it's like if Pinterest and TikTok had a baby. Yeah. That would be Lemonade. Yeah. Because there's a lot of, I think they're called Mojos, or something like that. She grew up on Instagram. That was her go-to, and so in YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's, I would say, has been a more influential part of my life.
Yeah. I think the only reason why we created your Facebook account was just so your grandparents could see your stuff you're tagged in. I don't have to be the one uploading everything, or your dad doesn't have to be the one. Anybody can tag you, and everybody in your family will see it. I have a Snapchat, and I have an Instagram, have a Threads, I have a TikTok, but my go-to is still Facebook. The first thing I open is Facebook.
Mine is too.
Yeah.
I get on TikTok more than anything, but if I'm posting anything, it's Facebook. It's supposed to be Instagram or Snapchat or Threads now. But
well, you were the introduction to Facebook. Like you grew up where Facebook was the only one at first.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm kind of an exception. I don't think very many people in my generation still use Facebook like I use Facebook, but I use Facebook for family.
I think another thing is, like, you're one of the less technical people that I know.
Yeah.
Like, out of all of us, even your dad.
Wants to give me shit all the time. You're always on your phone. I'm really not. I'm really not.
There's certain things that you can be doing on your phone that are completely different than what other people are doing on their phone.
I want to know who uses texting, because everybody at school is emails.
That's a work thing.
I was going to say, I don't email.
But anything outside of work,
Can I check my email?
I have 3,973 unread emails, and those are just the ones that I didn't clear out.
That's not including my junk mail, which is probably where your email is.
Exactly. If I delete something twice, it automatically starts going to junk. I go through probably once a month and clean it out as much as I can.
See, that's the one thing I remember a lot of growing up. Phone numbers were always on the refrigerator.
I wish that I would do that. You guys know, I lost my phone, or it was dead a lot of times.
Or you left it at home.
And I needed someone's number, and I didn't have it.
Left it on purpose.
You couldn't check my location.
Yeah, that's another thing, that Life 360 has become so popular. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. And they're like, but you don't want to see where your kids are at? I know where my kids are at.
Yeah.
Like,
Oldest taught them to just tell.
My kids don't go nowhere.
That's true, too. I was the most rebellious.
Emma don't drive.
Yeah.
Courtney don't drive. Yeah. Hunter drives, but he still just doesn't like people.
Go anywhere. He's like, people? No, I'll stay home.
The pandemic taught us that we don't really have to leave the house for anything.
COVID taught us that. Yeah. Now, when nobody wants to leave anymore.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for work, I probably wouldn't leave either.
All the extroverts got turned into introverts during quarantine.
They did.
A little bit too. Like, I still need that social interaction, and I'm definitely always out. But yeah, I do really enjoy being at home now.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, when we first met, we weren't allowed to stay home. If we weren't working, or we had nothing planned, we were like, where are we going? What are we doing? I don't care if we just go to my mom's house.
Exactly. Pajamas and order the food. I don't have to get dressed up.
So where do you want to eat? Do you want to eat tonight? Yeah, sure. Okay, so where do you want to go? I was just going to order some takeout.
Go? You mean DoorDash? That's what I heard.
The food can come to us now.
Exactly.
Yeah. Best invention of all time.
It really was.
Give me DoorDash all day long.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, that's my thing is like, I got so used to just being comfortable in comfy clothes, not having to worry about doing my hair, not having to worry about doing my makeup, not having to worry about the way people perceived me while I was out, because I can get everything done right here.
Yeah.
And they just don't want to they already deal with it enough at home on their phones. They're like, I don't want to deal with that in public either.
Even when you do go out, everybody's on their phone anyway.
You'll see couples, old couples too.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's not just the new and young generations. It's old couples who are new to the new phones.
Right.
They're sitting there on their phone and not communicating with each other. And it's like one of the saddest things that you can see is sitting at dinner and they're just not even looking at each other. Going
back, like you were talking about communications. Let's talk about Gen A's new words for a second.
What's Gen A?
Gen A's like Charlotte's generation, the ones that are in high school now.
The new ones.
A stands for alpha.
Alpha?
Yeah.
What are they alpha of?
Well, Gen Z is the last one, so then they recycle back to the top.
Beginning of the alpha?
Yeah. I have graduated as a person from a daughter to a mother as mommy, mom, bruh. You know, that's what the new thing is.
Bruh,
yeah, but these other ones, like the younger ones, everybody's bruh. Like, it doesn't matter if you're a teacher. It doesn't matter if you're a
bro, dude. They used to be specifically for men, but now I think they've become more gender neutral.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
I will gladly call a girl dude, bruh. What's up, my guy?
I mean, because like our generation started off with dude. You know, I think that was kind of what I remember saying. Everything was a dude.
I still use dude.
Yeah.
All the time.
I'm like, dude, really?
From Dude, Where's My Car, though?
Right.
If anyone would like to know.
Sweet.
That's how dude got cool. What's mine say? Sweet.
Seeing children handle cell phones and computers and iPads the way that they handle them now at such a young age still blows my mind compared to like when we were first getting them. Like, we had to learn them, and then we had to teach them to our older people so they knew how to use them. And then by the time the older people learned, they done changed. Everything's different. Everything's wrong. And we have to redo it all over again. And I feel like the millennials, zennials, they're the ones that are forced to like teach everybody until Gen A came. And Gen A came and they're like, I'm 2 years old and I can run a podcast.
Another new thing that's added is YouTube is now considered a career path. When it first started, even with the YouTubers I grew up with, it didn't originally was seen as, it was originally like a taboo job. Like, why would someone do this? You're just sitting at home playing video games.
I still think people still think that.
And now
but it's more common.
It is.
And it's not just video games. There's also like theorists. There's podcasts. There's like animators. The whole variety of different stuff.
Yeah, you can literally stream anything. Get famous for it.
Well, I think some of the most popular shows or the popular videos are the ones where people are just like compilations of people getting hurt or people doing dumb things. Mm-hmm. That's because it's funny.
America's Funniest Home Videos.
Right. And that America's Funniest Home Videos was our first Vine. Like, those were the ways we saw people do dumb things. Those are the ways we saw people do funny.
Ridiculousness as well.
Ridiculousness kind of replaced it. It's funny how, in order for us to be able to see people doing stupid things, we had to watch them on America's Funniest Home Videos.
Because we had video cameras, which nobody has because they're all on phones now.
I miss so many family opportunities because we didn't have a phone in our hand. If you didn't own a video camera, you didn't catch it.
Yeah, that's true.
So it was just a memory you had to keep repeating. Yeah. I think it's why I liked sitting around at the table with like my family talking. Experience something they experienced was just by listening to their stories. As opposed to like now you're just like, did you see the video I made? The cat did the funniest thing.
Did you see the TikTok I posted?
We communicate sometimes all day long with just sending video memes.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I could tell you exactly how I feel about you with 3 TikTok. You're going to know if I like you or not if I'm sending you TikTok.
I think I've sent it before, but you've seen where they call it pebbling, like when a penguin gives a pebble to a person because they like them.
Those are my pebbles.
That's what they call it, sending memes out. They call it pebbling.
Yeah.
Because you're like, I like you and I want you to share this joy with me.
Have a video.
So here's my pebble. Yeah. It's a video of a cat falling in a toilet. That's my pebble.
This is my love language. We need to invent new love languages because social media is part of it now.
Right. Communicates with social media.
If I'm sending you funny videos that make me laugh, it's because I want you to laugh with me. That's my love language.
I mean, I don't get videos back from Kenny. Occasionally, once in a while, he'll find one that's kind of funny. But most of the time, the generation from him is like when he comes home and he's like, have you seen this video? And I'm like, no. And so then he'll sit next to me.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll play the video and we'll watch it. And I'm like, you could have just sent it to me.
You could just
share.
It's a little different where I've started using YouTube as like background, my fan, where I use it to fall asleep.
It's like your white noise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And sometimes I do when I have like a bad headache or something, but other times it's just, I don't realize that it's making me fall asleep.
Well, there's some YouTube videos that have really pleasant voices.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I can just listen to this all night long.
Yeah, I listen to white noise while I'm reading.
Yeah.
Like they have a reading lounge.
It's so funny how things that when they first started out were not acceptable and now they're more acceptable. It's just crazy how things evolved. So like you have your social media started off on MySpace, went to Facebook and then Instagram and then Snapchat and TikTok and now they're just branching off. And then you have the parents who we have kids. I forgot we had kids. We knew what we were supposed to do. You come home from school, you get a snack, watch TV, do your homework. And if I'm not home before you go to bed, good night, and I love you. And that was kind of a thing that everybody knew. Yeah. We had phones, numbers written next to the phone that we kept so we could call. I can't remember when 911 was first introduced. Do you remember it or?
Early 80s, I think, or 70s.
Okay, so as a kid growing up, you had to call the police station.
Yeah, we called the police station. We never had one. I don't remember 911 until
like
much
their
later.
actual number. Whoa.
The 911 came out later. I remember watching Rescue 911 on TV. It was people could hear real life rescue calls, and then they would reenact the situation where the police or ambulance or whatever went in and took care of it. But that was so crazy because people were like,
it hasn't just always been 911.
no, I can't. I think it was late 70s or early 80s when they introduced
Wow.
it. Well, I think 411 was out before 911, wasn't it?
I remember at fire department, police department, they all had their own numbers. Of course, back in those days, we had a yellow pages, which we had to open the book, and you could look up numbers.
Yeah.
Now we don't have those.
Right.
They had Google. We had yellow pages. We had to look
Right.
up. It was in alphabetical order.
Yes.
Pizza. Oh, look, pizza. P. Okay, for pizza people.
The yellow pages were done by category, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you had like your furniture stores were under F, and then they would have all the furniture stores listed.
We had yellow pages and the white pages. White pages were for the phone numbers, and yellow pages were for businesses and all that other stuff.
I think the only time I ever used that was whenever I would stay at Mima's house. And if I did have to order anything, it was from the mobile handheld.
Like a cordless phone.
Yeah, the landline. That's the word I was looking for. The pages. To use the pages.
Right. Well, I mean, I remember our first phone was the rotary phone.
No, I didn't experience that.
We had one that like sat on a table. Then we got the push button one,
Yeah.
and it was on the wall. And that's the one we had a 20-foot cord attached to it, so you could go around the hallway and kind of seclude yourself from everybody.
Now I remember the house in Masonville having one of those because that's how I used to talk to Santa Claus. Was on the corded, hooked to the wall phone.
Right.
And
I
then
also remember we had like a home phone that had sat on a charger.
Then it's when the cordless phones came in, and if you got too far away from the base, it would go beep beep beep.
Yeah.
You're like, I gotta go back. Hold on, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Or if they were dead, they would start beeping, and you're like, I gotta go. My phone's going dead.
Yeah.
Couldn't just plug it in like you do now with cell phones, where your phone's going dead. You just plug it into the wall. You have to put it back on the base so it would charge.
Yeah, Mima would be mad if that phone was not back on that hook. She couldn't find her phone. End of the world.
So the first cordless phones had the wire antennas that you had to pull out so it gets signal. Those did not have a find me feature. So those phones would get lost. Like somebody would set them down. They would be like a remote control, like in the side of the couch or in a bed or in the bathroom. Then they started making the ones the antenna just was plastic and it didn't come in or out. Those ones they came out with a find me. So if you lost your phone, you would go to the base and you would hit a button.
Yeah.
And it would beep somewhere till you could find it, kind of like pinging your cell phone.
Yeah, I just realized that that's probably where they got that from.
Mm-hmm. Same thing with TVs. We went from, how many channels did you have growing up?
4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were just like local, right?
7, 14, 25, and 44. ABC, CBS, NBC.
Right. What we think is normal now wasn't normal for, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Because, I think the biggest change, though, with everything is just how we raise our children. Like, as the generations grow, they learn, I don't want my kid to be raised this way. I don't want to go looking for my kid at 10 o'clock because I haven't seen them all day. I want them to stay in my yard where I know where they're at.
Yeah.
And I think the information of being more readily available on social media makes people more aware of the bad things out there. The way people parent. The first generation introduced to gentle parenting.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah, because I know you weren't.
Absolutely not.
No, you were probably
I don't know
one
what
of
a
the
gentle parent is until now.
Right.
My mom wouldn't raise her voice at me now.
Right.
If I was to ask her to.
Right.
I was to be like, Mom, I did this. Yell at me.
Right.
She'd be like, no, honey, it's okay.
And you'll never see her ever raise her voice to her grandchild.
Mom, you chased me up a bunk bed with a paddle that had holes in it because I didn't want to do the dishes, and now you won't yell at me? Are you kidding?
They're the generation that first got well, talk to me about your feelings.
Yeah. Well, that's a good and bad thing because, obviously, my generation was tough love.
You do what I tell you to do.
Yeah, you do what you're told. You respect your parents. There was no in between on that. But now it's which I didn't follow that. That's not what I was saying. That's how it was supposed to be. But with Gen Zs, it's soft and gentle, and your feelings are valid, and that's a trauma response, and
I remember when if anyone raised their voice at me, I would just go dead silent.
Right.
never speak. And I think it got to the point to where, like, I'm so terrified of screwing up anything, even now, because I'm worried that I'm gonna get yelled at or I'm just gonna get in trouble. And I don't like it when people are mad at me.
Right. And I don't know if that's worse or not, because we were desensitized to screaming and hollering and beats.
If somebody yells at me, I'm literally gonna square up.
Right. I'll
Don't
square
yell
up.
at me.
Or I can just tone it out now eventually.
Which
It's desensitizing.
It's such a toxic trait now, because my father has taught me to just take it. And so now I think I can square up to a 6-foot tall man and I could win.
Right. Well, I think that's what made our generation easier to work in retail, because when you would have somebody come in and screaming at you, you were like,
oh my gosh, that is a big topic. Turned into such a Karen the older I've gotten with the millennials, because this generation that's in customer service, how did you get your job?
Yeah, everything hurts their feelings.
No, they hurt mine. Are you kidding? They're so rude. Every time I go to a drive-thru, I get my feelings hurt because they don't say thank you, or they don't say have a good day.
Right.
And I'm like, I would have been fired if I would have not handed you 3 extra napkins.
Well, what kills me is when you go in there and they go to give you your change, and the change spits out into a little coin collector. They only have to count the dollars, and they still get that wrong. Kenny, don't give somebody the change after they've already put it in the register.
Oh, absolutely not.
No.
Because they can't count it.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap it up. We'll just say goodbye and until next time. And that wraps up this episode, where we dove deep into the intricacies of living in different generations. From the silent struggles and triumphs of the silent generation to the technological takeover of Gen Z. We've traveled across the decades of evolving experiences. We've seen how each generation faced unique challenges and made their mark on the world in their own special way. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode, where we take a peek into the day in the life of someone who holds the school together with his hard work and warm heart, none other than Kenny, the beloved school custodian. Join us as we uncover the inspiring story of a man who's more than just a custodian. He's a mentor, a friend, and a true hero in the halls of Bowling Green High School. Until then, this is Penny Rose, and you're listening to A Penny for Your Thoughts.